The Prophecies of the Old Testament, Chapter 1. In the introduction, with a particular consideration of the first prophecy respecting Messiah, recorded in Genesis 3 verse 15. Though the prophets of the Old Testament concerning the Messiah, which have had their exact fulfillment in Jesus, are not the only proofs of the truth of the Christian religion, there being many others, namely the nature, importance and tendency of the doctrines of the gospel, and the verity and reality of facts recorded in the New Testament, such as the miracles of Jesus, his resurrection from the dead. Yet are they real and unquestionable ones, and such as deserve our particular consideration, especially seeing Christ and his apostles so frequently appeal to them to confirm the truth of what they delivered. Salvation by Jesus Christ is the great doctrine of the gospel, and the sum and substance of the Christian religion, of which salvation, says the Apostle Peter, the prophets have inquired and searched diligently, who prophesied of the grace that should come unto you, searching what manner of time the Spirit of Christ which was in them did signify, when it testified beforehand the sufferings of Christ and the glory that should follow. One main and principal branch of this salvation is the forgiveness of sin through the blood of Christ. Now to him give all the prophets witness, that through his name whosoever believeth in him shall receive remission of sins. And indeed Jesus and his apostles said none other thing than those which the prophets and Moses did say should come, that Christ should suffer, and that he should be the first that should rise from the dead, and should show light unto the people and to the Gentiles. It was the common and useful practice of Christ to direct his hearers to search the scriptures of the Old Testament. They are they, says he, which testify of me. Yea, he expressly says that Moses wrote of him. He always spoke of his sufferings and of several circumstances of them, as predicted by the prophets. And therefore, after his resurrection, in order to lead his disciples into a thorough acquaintance with these things, beginning at Moses and all the prophets, he expounded unto them in all the scriptures the things concerning himself, and declared that all things must be fulfilled which were written in the law of Moses, and in the prophets, and in the Psalms concerning him. The marks and characters of the Messiah, as fixed by the prophets in the Old Testament, are very plain and visible in Jesus, which have been no small confirmation of faith, hope, and joy. And those who have believed in him, hence, says Philip and Nathanael, these two being some of the first that believed in him, and whose hearts were filled with joy at the first notice of him. We have found him, of whom Moses in the law and the prophets did write, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. Now, though this kind of proof is not the only foundation of the Christian religion, yet it must be esteemed a very considerable part of it. For we who believe in Jesus are built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Jesus Christ himself being the chief cornerstone, which foundation a late author has endeavoured to undermine in several tracts on the subject of prophecy. Wherefore it highly becomes those who have any value for Jesus, the Redeemer, to attempt to rescue it against such bold attacks and daring insults upon the best and most excellent religion in the world. I am sensible that several prophecies have been already, in this present controversy, very learnedly and judiciously discussed, and sufficiently cleared from those expressions which have been made against them, as also conscious of my own weakness and inability to engage in such a work. Yet, having the Redeemer's glory at heart, and being fully assured of the goodness of the cause, as well as willing to contribute what I can towards this securing the honour of Jesus, confirmation of believers, and conviction of infidels, I have undertaken the consideration of the prophecies of the Old Testament respecting the Messiah, which are either cited as such in the New or are generally by Christian interpreters referred to him, and shall attempt to prove that they truly and properly belong to the Messiah and have been actually and exactly fulfilled in Jesus, which must be no inconsiderable evidence of the truth of the Christian religion. I shall begin with Genesis 3 verse 15, which is the first prophecy respecting Messiah, of whom, in the volume of the book, in the roll thereof, in the head or beginning of the book of God, it is written that he should do the will of God, which was no other than to destroy Satan, the old serpent, and his works, and rescue sinful and miserable man out of his hands, pursuant to this original prophecy, which was given quickly after man's apostasy from God, and stands at the head and front of the Bible, from the going forth of which the Messiah has been spoken of by the mouth of God's holy prophets, which have been since the world began.